CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. And what we do is train community volunteers to advocate for children who are in foster care.
They have the role of assessing what the child's needs are, making sure the needs are met, and importantly, writing reports and going to court and helping the judge to understand the child's life and what the child is needing.
What a CASA volunteer does is really take a child and walk with them and their family through a very chaotic present into what we hope is a promising future.
The CASA program was having difficulty locating as many volunteers as they needed. So the CASA Project, the purpose of this project was to help them understand what they could do to find more volunteers.
Wisdom Project 2030 really helped us take a step back, gather more information, and create a strategic plan. And what we looked at was a broader piece of how does retention play into, recruitment, and retention equals more volunteers. And so our kids really benefited from having volunteers longer when we were able to recognize some of the barriers that our volunteers were coming up against and really mitigate that with more technology, more staff help and intervention. So for a CASA child, in 2020, 74% of the kids whose cases closed achieved permanency. As we began implementing all the things that Wisdom Project 2030 helped us to do, in 2021, that 74% number went to 86%. So that is a tremendous jump in the number of children who've achieved permanency. And a lot of that had to do with how do we retain more volunteers and how do we get more volunteers to come to the table? And how do we engage with our volunteers so that they're able to do more and do, those better outcomes is such a tremendous part of what we do and the hallmark of that permanency. How do we bring more training to the table that makes a CASA volunteer more comfortable in what they're doing and more confident?
In some of these projects that people will work on, you will spend, I've probably spent well over 100 hours on the CASA project. The benefit to me is feeling of doing something that helps children who really had no say or no responsibility in the difficulties that they got to in their life, but yet they're having to suffer the consequences of it. And they need people who care about what happens to them and who will take the time to go out and fend for them and fight for what they need in the legal system.
Often, a CASA volunteer can bring information that other professionals just can't bring because the relationship between a child and a family, knowing they're talking to an attorney versus knowing they're talking to a volunteer who's not getting paid for this, who's really doing this out of the goodness of their heart. There are conversations that happen that don't necessarily happen otherwise. The folks that are attracted to this work are amazing, amazing people. And that's what keeps me doing this work, is being able to surround myself with people who have hearts that have been broken so many times. Like I said, this work it's not always easy, but what we find is that the million pieces that our hearts break up into give us greater capacity to do more. And so the folks that have kind of learned that secret are the folks that I want to be around, and that's the people that we have in this organization.